Hello everyone, welcome to Marlin Chess Kids. Today I'll show you the gameplay by Lars and Paulius. The game starts with pawn to d4, knight f6, bishop to g5, attacking the knight, d5, e3, knight b to d7, knight f3, h6, attacking the bishop, bishop to h4, and c5, and this is the first 5 move, and the white is slightly better in the position. Game continue with the white move to c3 and e6 was played. Now the white continue to play knight b to d2 and bishop e7 was played, and here the black preparing for a castling. Then bishop to d3 was played, and the black castling and the white castling, and then b6, and here we have a very solid pawn with these 3 connected pawn, and the white play knight to e5, and here the knight capture the knight takes e5, and this is the first 10 move, and you can see that the position is almost the same, equal, or maybe the white is a slightly have an edge only. Then the game to continue, the pawn takes e5, then knight to d7, and now the bishop exchange. Bishop takes e7 and the queen takes e7. Then here, in order to protect the pawn at e5, the white play f4 and protect the pawn. Then the black play f5 to block the bishop diagonal attack of the h7 square. And now the pawn takes the pawn with the end person, e takes f6 and attack the queen. So e takes f6 and person, and knight takes f6, then knight to f3 and knight to d7, and this is the first 15 move. Then the game continue with bishop to b1 with the idea of queen to c2 and check the king at h7, and bishop to a6 attacking the rook, and here this is the first 16 move, and the position for the white is slightly better. Then the game continue, the rook escape the attack, rook to e1 and rook to f6, then knight to e5, preparing to attack the knight or go for action. So after this, knight takes e5 and f takes e5, attacking the pawn, and here rook f to f8, and now the position become equal. And after this, the white made a great move by playing queen to c2, and here white want to mate with queen h7. So after this, the black made a blunder by playing queen to g5. So the best way to defend is to play rook to f5, and now we block all the diagonal, and black will stay safe. So after queen to a4 and the rook to h5, attacking the diagonal at the h2. And if the queen capture the bishop, then queen to h4 and attack the pawn and also attack the rook. And if the rook move to f1, then the queen will just capture and check the king. And if the king to f2, then you have rook to capture the pawn at e5. Then you also have the idea of bring the rook to f8 and check again. And here the black will have a decisive advantage and will be clearly better with the sacrifice of the bishop. And also the queen can capture the pawn at g2. So in the actual game, after queen to g5, the white play a4. And after this, the black mate in 3. I give a couple of seconds to figure out how the black can win the game. Well, congratulations for those who found the answer, and for those who like to enjoy the show, here are the moves. After the white play pawn to a4, then the black win by using the queen to capture the pawn. Queen takes e3 and sacrifice. So after this, queen, if you move the king to h1, then you just capture the free rook. After queen takes e3, the white resign the game. So if the king move to h1, then the black will just capture the pawn at e1 and checkmate with the backrank checkmate. If the queen block, then queen will just capture and king to h1 and queen takes the rook and checkmate. So in this position, the best way for the white to play is to move queen to h7 and check the king. For example, if the queen to h7 and check the king, then the white is clearly better, because after king move to f7, then you have a very strong move, bishop to g6 and check the king. And this, if the king move to e7, then the white will be winning in 26 move, because the queen will capture the pawn and check the king again. And now the king will have only one place to move, king to d8. Then the queen will just capture the rook and check the king. And again, the king will have limited place to move. And if the king move to c7, then the queen can capture the pawn, the rook. You can capture the rook and check, or if the queen can go to d6 and check the king. And if the king to c8, then the queen will just capture and check again. And if the king to c7, then you have a queen check again. king to c8, and now you bring the rook for the back rank checkmate. Rook to f1, and with the bishop capture, you just use another rook to capture. And here, after this, queen takes e3 check, and king to h1, and queen to e1. You have not much you can do. You can just use the bishop to check first, and king to b7, then queen to d5 check, king to b8, and now queen to d6 check again, and king to b7, then queen to d7 and check the king, then king to d6, and now bishop to d3 check and protecting the rook, and c4 to prevent, and then the bishop just to capture and check, and b5 to prevent the check, and now you have queen takes d5 and checkmate. So this is a single move that the white has mislooked and not able to win the game. And if the queen to h7 and check, if the king to f7, and after bishop check the king, and if the black capture the bishop, then you have rook to f1, a strong move, check the king, and after bishop capture the rook, then the rook will recapture back the rook. Bishop takes, rook takes, and if you queen to f5 to block the check, then you use the rook to check the king, and the pawn takes the rook, then you have queen takes the pawn, and now if your king move to these two square, e7 and e8 will be a bet for king move to 8, then the queen to e6 check the king, and if the rook to defense, then you have queen takes the d5, and in this position, in the exchange, the white will have one queen, while the rook will have two rook, and the white is clearly better in this position. And with this, thank you.